While most time travelers struggle through hard times, Wang Yang lived the exact opposite life. He spends every day living freely, never letting worries about tomorrow get in his way. Ironically, a playful system urged him to become the next conqueror. Without even trying, his power grew so huge it seemed impossible. When he first stepped into the ring, he quickly beat the strongest fighters there. Even the mighty queen couldn't resist and wanted to stand right beside him. Just one casual move could change the fate of the world. The top academic rival left the field soaked in blood and rage after losing. The tale starts with a scene as calm and flawless as a perfect day. In that peaceful picture, a young man rests comfortably in the middle of nature. He basks in the pure joy of having everything he needs without any struggle. The peace breaks the moment a system sprite pops up to try and trick him. He coldly rejected the enthusiastic offer, turning it down with the same bored indifference as skipping an annoying commercial. He points straight at the system, calling it a trick to steal from people. Even while the sprite begs, he firmly cuts ties with work. Even after being shut down, the system girl lets her doubts fade and burns her determination back to life with a fierce new fire. She holds on tight, sending out a flood of silly missions that he keeps turning down. Even when he tries to enjoy a quiet meal, she won't leave him alone. After failing over and over again, the little sprite decides it's time to try a completely different plan. Finally, she made up her mind to try something totally different. The moment she shows up, he cuts her off before she can even say a word. Hearing about the huge rewards made him hesitate for the first time and left him stunned by the strange idea she introduced. The little sprite cheered that he could climb to the top without even trying. Wang Yang knows this honey-sweet offer is just a trap. After a terrible mistake, he warms up to the idea and decides to take a chance on it. The instant he says yes, the contract ceremony finishes and he gets a huge special reward. A sudden wave of power hits him, pushing him past what he thought was possible. The system sparks another breakthrough, soaring his power to new heights in a single instant. Realizing that just breathing makes him stronger, he knows the lazy, invincible mode is real. He lets go of his strength, flooding the sky with a blinding burst of light. The moment it happens, the whole world of cultivators trembles in shock. Ling panics and frantically calls the elders to help, terrified that something terrible is about to happen. Word spreads among the other groups that a mighty emperor has finally risen. The great Qing dynasty quickly checks who the new powerhouse is and where they stand. After returning to a quiet life, Wang Yang sighed over his lonely past with no romance and no fulfillment, only for the system to notice his deep longing for love and offer him a way to find it. The sprite flicks open a screen overflowing with breathtaking beauties. He grumbles about the trouble, but can't resist the tempting rewards as he picks from a list of suggested partners. Before he can understand everything, he finds out the job comes with extra perks. Right then, the mighty Queen Xing demands to see you herself. Hearing this, Wang Yang laughs with pride, while the system secretly boasts about being the best. In the big hall, the older folks crowd around, watching the Empress move with curious eyes. A few young disciples stare with puzzled faces, completely baffled by a name they've never heard before. When the sect master comes to investigate, the elders find only a single nameless disciple left there. Someone remembers a story about Master Wang, the teacher who guided the founder of the sect. Every clue fits together to show that Wang Yang is the secret head of the family. The sect master leaps to his feet in shock and makes a split-second decision. While a team heads off to welcome the Empress, the rest get ready for a huge ceremony honoring their ancestors. Not long after, a line of people on their knees marched all the way toward West Sword Peak. Everyone dropped to their knees and shouted out their respect for Wang Yang. Before the serious ceremony, he checks with the system, and it confirms the ritual isn't its own doing. Wang Yang calmly accepts the truth and tells him to skip the small talk. When asked why so many impressed visitors came, he casually guessed it was because of marriage. That quick comeback makes the whole crowd gasp in shock. Wang Yang ignores the noise and decides she will go greet them herself. In that very second, someone is already waiting on the other side of the hall. Yinlang steps right in to ask why Wang Yang isn't showing up. A friend quickly explains that the leader is away cultivating alone, and then the sound of steady footsteps breaks the heavy silence. Wang Yang walked into the room with his whole team, and the way he carried himself made everyone else feel small. Yinlang studied him with a doubtful eye, noticing how his simple plane seemed too humble to be real. Feeling her sharp stare, Wang Yang panics and begs the system to save face. The system instantly rewards him by turning his plain clothes into royal robes. His powerful presence suddenly filled the room, leaving the Empress trembling and confused. The elders are so shocked and moved that the sect has once again given birth to a legendary hero. Yinlang quietly realizes that Wang Yang is far too strong for her challenge. She gathered her courage and then dropped to her knees right in front of him. She begs him with all her heart to save the Shang dynasty from ruin. The sight leaves everyone speechless, yet here stands the same empress who once ruled 6 nations. Wang Yang gently lifts her up, telling her that he has finally stepped away from the busy world. Yinlang stands firm and promises to give up anything it takes to help. Her quiet words stir the sect master's resolve deep inside. Wang Yang falls quiet, but you can see he's deeply shaken. Yinlang bends her head even lower and gives herself up as the price they demand. The whole hall erupts in a roar of shock at the wild idea. Wang Yang struggles inside, torn between what he wants and the trouble that's coming. Right then, the system shows everyone that Yinlang has a rare divine body. It shows just how amazing it is to join forces with the Phoenix's holy form. After hearing that, Wang Yang instantly realizes the real value in her offer. His deep, complicated look makes Yinlang promise to give everything she has. Before the heavenly Tao, she makes a solemn promise and accepts whatever price it will cost. In the end, Wang Yang agrees, quietly figuring out what both sides can gain. Yinlang bows low with thanks, speaking for her entire people. The Ling Jian's sect master goes pale and begs Wang Yin not to leave with the patriarchs, terrified that danger is coming. Then the system beeps happily, telling us we've got a brand new reward, a top-tier shield to protect our sect. When he hears it, Wang Yang is thrilled that the system finally gets his laid-back way of doing things. The holy glow squeezed into a glowing jewel, leaving the sect master stunned as he realized it was a legendary treasure. He taps the formation of life with one quick, sure move. A holy sword shoots into the sky, shining so brightly it lights up everything. Suddenly, it shatters into thousands of ghostly sword shadows. The glowing wall of swords wraps around the sect, creating a breathtaking view that lifts everyone's spirits. Yinlang quietly compares the two and realizes that Ling Jian so far is far stronger than the Empire. Kinio dropped to one knee right away, begging to become Wang Yang's servant. A pounding headache thuds in his head as the mess around him gets worse and worse. The system instantly shouts that Kingo has a very rare Holy Spirit body. It explains that this body was born to be loyal and to help without any mistakes. Wang Yin said yes, and King Shao happily stepped aside to become his servant. Now everyone sees that she has changed completely. Yinlang gently calls out to her steed. Suddenly, a giant phoenix bursts into view, filling everyone with shock as its heavenly light shines around it. Wang Yang, who looks like a giant, makes jokes about the big gap between the rich and the poor. The system jumps straight to his idea of a mount. A shiny new reward is just dropped as Supri-made mount. He smiles and kindly offers King Shao the chance to ride his horse whenever he needs it. King Zio looks at her master's real mount with a mix of awe and curiosity. Wang Yang snaps his fingers and his treasure appears right before his eyes. 6 huge dragons drag a fancy chariot into the scene. The dragon riders swoop down, nodding to show respect to their master. The sect master and the crowd stand speechless as the giant meteor mount descends before them. Wang Yang smiles and gestures to leave, but while Yinlang bows politely in response. He gives the command to set off, riding straight toward the magnificent city of Shun. 2 dragon-riding guards move as one, obeying without a second thought. Right then, the Empire's shield crumbles into nothingness. The soldiers inside are so tired their hearts are about to break. The national teacher braces himself, promising to stand strong until the very last moment. Outside the capital, people run in a panic while the invading army gets closer. A huge boom announces the arrival of a fierce new enemy. 2 generals of Xuan Yu step forward, their eyes blazing with fury, but their minds racing to stay safe inside the trap. They quickly spotted the clever defense plan meant to make the array stronger. After talking it over, they decide to go all out and take down the defense line. The command is given to one of them to strike. As the mentor in the lineup collapses under his heavy guilt, the enemy general raises his weapon to strike with the force of a dragon. A giant black dragon lets out a terrifying roar and lunges straight at the barrier. Just as all hope was lost, a flash of light from a sword sliced through the sky. The black dragon is thrown backward, hurting the person who launched it. The 2 generals went pale with fear as they sensed the strange, deadly power in the sword. They look up and see a single person already waiting for them. That man is Wang Yang, staring at Countly with eyes as cold as ice. The furious enemy screams at whoever dares to step in. The other carefully watches the strange mark left by the six-dragon chariot. Yinlang steps forward and boldly announces that Wang Yang is a true emperor. The enemies sneer at him, making fun of his strange insect powers. Kung Xiao flew into a rage and lunged forward to punish the insult. They laugh her off, thinking her weak training makes her too small to care about. Just as things were getting tense, the system cheerfully shouted that an emergency reward had been activated. Wang Yang gets a powerful shout that shakes the battlefield. Hearing this, he gives a smug, amused smirk. He calmly asks his enemies to let him show them his face just this once. That comment makes them furious, and they can barely stop themselves from lashing out even though their friends are trying to hold them back. Zhang Yi holds his ground with courtesy, insisting they only want to lead the Empress away. Wang Yang turned down the offer right there, with no second thoughts at all. Just as his killing intent surged to its peak, his holy skill instantly reached its perfect state. Seeing that words won't work, the enemies decided to take up arms instead. The system quickly shows off the new tricks to prove they're better than the old ones. Knowing he holds the upper hand, Wang Yang grins with confidence and declares he won't move a muscle, daring them to attack freely. Even though Yinlang and King Xiao were worried, he just calmly told them not to be. The enemy says they'll pull back if they land 3 hits. Wang Yang held up his hand to agree to the fight. The first blow hits, but does no harm. The enemy freezes in shock when his full strength fails to hurt anyone. Enraged, he strikes back with a lethal move. The ultimate fist art hits with power so great it shatters the air around it. But the attack stops dead against a wall you can't see. Wang Yang sneered at him, claiming his power was nothing but a hollow reputation. Furious and out of control, the enemy lets loose every bit of his power. Zhanjia screams in panic, begging him not to touch the forbidden art, but he ignores her and summons the demon avatar anyway. Wang Yang stays cool as he switches on his special countermove. 2 huge forces smash together in the sky. The mighty Xing forces quiver as they see Wang Yang casually unleash a power so great they tremble, effortlessly countering their attack. The attack bounces right back, slamming into the caster and knocking him to the ground as he coughs up blood. Zhang Yi dashes to save his friend, making his ally give up while Wang Yang mocks them by asking if they want to turn, so Zhang Yi accepts the mercy he was shown and promises to pull back. The old man coughs and turns away as Wang Yang shrugs it off, while Kunjio rushes over worriedly and Yo Linlang watches with admiration. The Empress warmly invites him to the evening feast, and he happily accepts. Just then, an official showed up with the guest list and politely asked to see the ruler. Yinlang steps forward to present Wang Yang as the mighty emperor of the Lingjian sect, crowning him on a national throne and leaving the entire court speechless in awe. Everyone kneels and shouts, "Long live," while Wang Yang stands frozen, shocked that he has suddenly become king. A little spirit pops up to cheer, saying you've just earned the people's praise. Wang Yang shouts in anger about what merit really is, berates the system for forcing missions onto him, and threatens to walk away, leaving the system terrified and scrambling to explain itself. The system giggles nervously, insisting it's not a trap, but its voice only makes him more irritated. It shows that true power grows from respect and from the brave acts of saving lives or helping the nation. Wang Yang doubts the value of old cultivation ways, but the system reveals that the faith of believers can grow so strong it forms a divine body matching the highest realms. He realizes Yinlang is walking the path of merit, but the system insists she is far more special, calling her a rare dual cultivator. Yinlang asks with a puzzled look, while Wang Yang laughs it off, but watches closely as her power keeps growing. As the people walk down the streets, they kneel and shout their praise for the great hero who rescued their city. Even as some marvel at his calm and perfect balance, the crowd chants Wang Yang's name over and over without stopping. Deep down, Qinjio respects him greatly and promises to stand by his ancestors' side with loyalty, no matter how low his rank might be. As they step into the palace, the officials welcome them with great honor, and Linland gives all the praise to Wang Yang while ordering a grand feast for the entire nation. When the Empress can't find the national preceptor, she gets suspicious but learns he collapsed from holding up the empire, so Yinlang angrily scolds everyone for not telling her sooner, clearly worried for his life. The officials have decided to let the Tanji Pavilion rest and heal. The Empress demands to come right away, mumbles an apology for her mistake, and tells Wang Yang not to worry about it. The teacher lies pale and lifeless on the ground while his students kneel in tears, panic rising around them. Yinlang bursts in, her voice shaking with guilt because she's finally arrived. The preceptor weakly advises her to keep her behavior proper in public. Wang Yang winces in his heart, feeling the weight of pitting such a legendary man right on the edge of dying. The Perceptor looks at Wang Yang with tears in his eyes, begging him to accept thanks for saving the Empress and the Empire, but Wang Yang just shakes it off with a humble smile. Yin Lang quickly calls for heavenly healers, but one of them says that only a special pill from the upper world can save him. Just then, the system's sprite pops up, hurls out a glowing pill, and declares it rare, which makes Wang Yang frown in annoyance. He stands frozen, torn between taking the treasure for himself or risking his life to save the old man. In the end, Wang Yang throws away the pill to save him, which moves Yin Lang deeply while the other disciples cheer. Yin Lang personally feeds the pill to her master while her eyes shine with hope. In an instant, golden light explodes from the Perceptor's body as his power surges. Wang Yang notices the pill heals more than just wounds, and Yin Lang immediately wonders if her master is finally breaking through. The old master stands up, bows deeply in thanks for being healed and promoted to the king realm, while Wang Yang just grins as if the whole thing was nothing at all. A messenger shouts that the feast is ready, and Lin Lang invites Wang Yang, who accepts with an easy smile. Soon the four take their seats to the rhythm of music, the swirl of dance, and a burst of bright colors. In a faraway corner, a huge pot stands quiet and heavy with holy power. Wang Yang wonders how much alcohol humans can handle, and the system instantly hands him the Imperial Art Drunken Kai Dragon Transformation Manual. This trick turns any drink or poison into pure energy and sharpens your reflexes, making Wang Yang so happy he'll never worry about food or wine again. Yin Ling lifts his first cup to thank Wang Yang, speaking for the royal house and Qin Ji Pavilion in gratitude for saving the Preceptor. As they drink together, a quiet respect fills the room. The second cup is lifted to honor every Qing citizen, showing the whole nation how much they admire his bravery. Every official stands up and shouts together to honor Emperor Wang Yang. When the third toast was raised, Lin Lang stood up and boldly declared that Wang Yang would take the throne of the great Shang dynasty. The court exploded in shock and amazement, with some doubting, while others realized that two emperor-level beings would make the nation unbeatable. Yin Lang quiets the crowd and announces that the master will pick a lucky day for her to wed Wang Yang. Kunia steps forward with a worried look, arguing that such a big decision shouldn't be rushed. The Empress coldly retorted, reminding him of her sacred oath and mocking his lack of qualification to object. Kung Jiao calmly explains that she isn't against the marriage, but she wants a full ceremony to protect Ling Jian's dignity. Wang Yang watches the beauty's argument with a bored smirk, secretly loving the show, until the system's sprite suddenly shouts about a marriage reward, making Wang Yang snap at it to shut up. While everyone is tense at the feast, a stranger pretending to be Huiyu's former prime minister shows up and shocks the whole court. Yin Lang turns ashen, knowing that someone of that high rank arriving means disaster for Great Shang. Wang Yang curiously asks who this man is, puzzled by the panic his mere name causes. The Perceptor reveals that Hanyu is a 1,000-year empire ruled by 7 emperors, with Qin as its most powerful minister, but Wang Yang remains unimpressed and says that even an emperor-level enemy shouldn't make the court tremble. Yin Lang explains that Kiwi's real danger isn't his power level, but what's going on inside his head. His reputation for trickery is so legendary that he moves entire nations around like pieces on a chessboard, deciding whether they will rise or fall in just a heartbeat. Wang Yang asks the system to check on him, but the system admits the target is too far away to scan. He throws out the system, promising that hell will find Qin sooner or later. Qin sneered, daring the so-called sage to look down on a civil minister. Yin Lang suddenly begs Wang Yin to run away for 10 days, pleading that he escaped this disaster and promising to thank him in the life after. The Preceptor objects, warning that if we let the foe win, all the great people of Shang will be doomed. King Shao wants to run away in fear, but Wang Yang Kuli says that if he accepts this insult today, he will lose his pride forever. He stands up to offer a plan, leaving Yin Lang and the Preceptor hanging in suspense. The Preceptor suddenly drops to his knees, shouting that Wang Yang is their savior and will save the empire from disaster. When they see him kneeling, the officials all follow suit, praising Wang Yang as the nation's savior whose greatness covers the land. But Wang Yang just feels humbled, while Yin Lang snaps at them in anger, stopping the praise and scolding anyone who tries to force Wang Yang to carry the weight of the state. Wang Yang smiles calmly and says one minister isn't enough trouble, so he'll handle it and be right back, while Yin Lang blushes, silently praying for his safe return. High above in the sky, Hai Wenyuan watches silently, letting his heavy presence cover the entire hall. He sneered that Great Shang, turned down the wine of peace to drink the wine of punishment. A calm voice tells him to move aside, showing he is ready to fight. Wang Yang walks with a mix of bold confidence and smug arrogance. Haiwen stares at him with suspicion, while Wang Yang keeps his head down and acts like he's just a simple wanderer. Kiwi becomes more careful inside, but acts friendly outside, suggesting Wang Yang's rank must be truly amazing. Wang Yang refuses all titles, saying he just wants peace, so neither empire has to spill blood. Kawenyuan insists Haiyu fought for justice, saying Yinlang stole 6 nations by force. Wang Yang argues that uniting the land through war to finally stop the bloodshed is a great achievement in itself. Kawen owns up to his biting words, but he won't back down from his quest to bring Wai Linling down. Wang Yang insists we should put down our fists and speak gently to keep the peace. Kiwen sneers, questioning if there is any way out of the fight. Instead, Wang Yin challenges Kawenyuan to a game of chess, and Kawenyuan eagerly accepts, only to watch Wang Yang turn pale when he realizes he can't even play. Right at that desperate moment, the system sprite switched Erfa into chess mode, which totally shocked Wang Yang with its air style moves. The sprite boasts that its brand new, streamlined form is so deadly it only needs 3 moves to wipe out any player in this world. Wang Yang sees that with just this one skill, he could become unstoppable across the entire land. He calmly asks Kawenyuan to go first, leaving the man shocked that anyone would show him such kindness. Wang Yang even offered a 2-piece handicap, which so angered Kawenyuan that he felt his entire lifetime reputation was being insulted. Wang Yang firmly replied that a gentleman always stands by his promise, no matter who wins or loses, leaving it up to the opponent to decide their next move. He plants his blue sword in the ground and vows to go right now, turning the game into a choice between life and death. The system loads up and pushes the chess help to its peak. Wang Yang chuckles to himself, knowing that with his backer's support, losing isn't an option. The courtiers tremble with fear and wonder as they remember how Kawenyuan once conquered 18 masters all at once. Yinlang speaks up with confidence to calm the room. Quinjeo looks up in awe at his ancestors' greatness, but the preceptor sits tight and worries about the danger ahead. Wang Yang's every move leaves Kaiwen pale and sweating despite the system showing him winning. And as his helpers wait for his desperate plan to save him, his early confidence shatters in a panic he can't hide. He can't stop wondering how all his traps and tricks keep getting spotted. Wang Yang softly puts down his piece and quietly calls out his opponent's name. He shouts that the game is done and his mercy has come to an end. Kawani can't bring himself to accept such a crushing defeat, even though he was clearly winning. The shock is so strong he spits blood onto the chessboard, leaving Wang Yang completely stunned by his wild reaction. Kiwi keeps coughing up blood, his legs shaking as he teeters on the edge of falling. Wang Yang mutters in confusion, baffled by how a simple chess match turned catastrophic as the system reports the opponent's realm collapsing from mental backlash. Yet Wang Yang senses something is seriously wrong. The sprite replies that the reward is still loading, which makes Wang Yang laugh at the absurdity while he politely clasps his hands to thank Qiaowen for giving up and keeps his gentlemanly manners. Out of nowhere, 2 secret killers spring out to hit with a deadly, perfect teamwork move. Wang Yang stops dead in his tracks for a heartbeat when a surprise attack comes out of nowhere. A massive boom roars through the air, wiping out everything around it instantly. He shut his eyes tight and gathered the power of the Heaven-Earth Titan to guard himself. The attack was stopped, leaving the 2 ambushers furious as they realized Wang Yang's shield was as tough as a turtle's shell. Still, they turned around and charged forward again without any hesitation. Wang Yang shot back with an icy glare, unleashing the rebound move of the Heaven-Earth Titan art. A burst of golden light exploded outward, knocking both attackers away with a powerful slam. The show was so amazing that everyone watching couldn't believe what they were seeing. Kawenyuan quickly called out a stop, forbidding his men from launching any more dangerous attacks. He bowed in defeat, admitted his mistake, and kept his promise to leave, while Wang Yang calmly let them walk away. A furious subordinate argued against giving up, but Kaiwan firmly warned that Wang Yan's actions made no sense at all. Kawenyuan ignored their sneers and sighed, suggesting Wang Yang's realm had finally touched the peak of truth. He guessed it was the heavenly Tao, Saint Tier, and advised the emperor to drop his plans against Great Shang. Suddenly, the system sprite popped into view acting all weird, which made Wang Yang break out in a cold sweat, but then it gleefully produced a strange crystal and shouted that the refinement had finally worked. Ano broke free from his holy limits by taking in a glowing piece of the Tao, a move that left Wang Yang watching in curious wonder. Suddenly, a blinding flash of white light swarmed him, so fierce it seemed to wake the whole world up. A radiant power from the heavens suddenly filled the world, waking ancient monsters from their hiding and signaling that huge changes were coming. A piece of the ultimate law appeared, showing that a new order for the world was coming. The long-lost treasure waited in silence, waiting for someone brave enough to finally claim it after all these years. Though some whispered about a secret plot, Kaiwan shook his head and called it the sacred key to rising up, not a weapon to be used for harm. When the relic began to glow, a strange shape appeared in Wang Yang's mind, and the system told him it was a new place inside his mind. The little spirit told him to set the glowing shard there, so he could wake up his greatest strength. Wang Yang carefully moved his inner power, held the relic steady, and gently placed the law fragment right in the middle of the altar. The moment they touched, a terrifying wave of energy exploded outward. Golden light ripped the sky open, creating a massive hollow above. Wang Yang's cultivation shot up through every realm until he stood at the very peak, with cosmic power pouring right into him. He was stunned to not only boost his power, but also master the rules of fate and find 6 chess pieces that blurred his very identity. The system told us that a keeper of pieces sees heaven and earth like a giant chessboard where life is just a pawn, yet Wang Yang only cared about his own true power. His new power broke the level cap in battle, even though he pretended not to care. Once everything was over, he walked back to the imperial palace with a calm heart. Yin Lang praised him with admiration, while Wang Yang admitted his foe's heart had broken, leaving him harmless for now. The crowd cheered loudly as the table groaned under a mountain of food and rich wine, all to celebrate their big win. While lost in a dreamy haze, Wang Yang gripped a metal chest, his face growing serious and deep in thought. Then, without any warning, he threw the chest piece high into the air. The relic glowed with a golden light that wrapped the whole empire in a protective shield. A system window popped up to celebrate his victory, revealing that his nation's guard formation had leveled up and earned him a legendary sword skill. The Grand Preceptor stood baffled as the Guardian arrays suddenly changed into something entirely new. But Wang Yang fell quiet, suddenly seeing that the white piece was the key to controlling life itself. Even though Yin Lang felt embarrassed and Wang Yang comforted him, everyone was shocked to discover the array now needed a ruler to break it, which brought them endless praise. Far away, someone gulped down a drink in frustration, bitterly wishing their complicated plan had not fallen apart so badly. A subordinate whispered that Wang Yang was too mysterious to risk facing Great Shun right now. Emperor Yu flew into a rage, calling his men useless and screaming at his general to go back and crush the enemy. A brave minister warned that if the northern campaign failed, our rage could destroy everything. The emperor ordered that Yin Lang be caught first, promising to march out himself if they failed, and his whole court cheered loudly in support. Meanwhile, the mighty Qing Empire soaked up its peace and joy. At the party, the wise leader seriously announced that the wedding would happen in 5 days and started getting ready right away. Some people thought it was wrong to rush such a big wedding without asking the king first. Wang Yang, feeling trapped with no way out, proposed turning back to Ling Jian to get ready. The Grand Preceptor said no right away, telling everyone that the court had already taken care of everything. Qinio stepped in to remind the sect's patriarch that he still had to go back to prepare the offerings and handle the rites. Yin Lang nodded in agreement, saying that the Ling Jian sect needed time to get ready. Still, the Grand Preptor feared that different ways of life might lead to trouble down the road. He offered to go with them since he knew all the rules for weddings. After thinking it over, Wang Yang gave in and agreed to let him journey back to the Ling Jian sect with him. Yin Lang wished to go along, but Wang Yang comforted her by saying she would return soon to welcome her home. She held his hand tight and said she wasn't ready for life yet, so he teased her with talk of marriage or kids, filling the air with a strange mix of tension and fun. Yin Lang turned red, chided him, and hurried everyone away. The 3 of them climbed into a grand carriage that pulled away from the crowd, looking like gods had finally arrived. The Grand Preceptor was secretly curious about Wang Yang's strange past and immediately asked where his holy home was. Wang Yang quietly checked the system, and it showed him a list of the world's 10 greatest holy lands. The shocking truth rattled him, so he quickly claimed to be a wandering cultivator who had never stepped foot in any holy land. The Grand Preceptor looked at him with even more respect because he had such a special gift and great luck. The system suddenly shouted that Ling Jian's sect's grand array was being battered by a fierce attack. Wang Yang's face darkened with rage as he thought about someone daring to attack his group while he was gone. Seeing how worried Grantor was, he calmly told him the sect was only in a bit of trouble. Inside the sect, A crowd of strangers tried every trick they knew, but the wall they faced stood firm like a fortress. The leader's eyes glowed with greed as he shouted that the Ling Jane sect had hidden too long and must surrender its grand array right now. A massive boom shook the air as two forces crashed, sending the sect disciples into a panic of whispered fear. While some worried the array might snap, others were convinced the founder's bond was too strong to break. All at once, a loud, heavy beat of footsteps began getting louder and louder. As the invader spun around to see Wang Yang and his friends rushing up, he shouted for them to explain what was going on. The sect master bowed and reported, while King Shao raged, demanding to know which fool had dared to offend the Ling Jian sect. Wang Yang sneered that their timing was perfect to end their lives right before his wedding. He commanded everyone to treat the grand preceptor with respect, a duty Sang had personally overseen. With that, he shot up into the sky, promising to be back soon, while shouting that the troublemakers were nothing but lost stray dogs. The intruders spun around to face Wang Yang's figure hanging in the air. They proudly declared themselves to be from the Fang Yin sect, threatening to hand over the magical array or face total destruction. Wang Yang sneered, knowing these greedy mercenaries were just walking straight into trouble. The enemy laughed at Ling Jian's sect for being too weak, but the system quickly peeked behind their smiles to show that they were actually hiding a second-stage emperor and several immortal-level warriors. Wang Yang sneered, deciding the two would make perfect test subjects for his new sword skills. In a heartbeat, the system unlocked and perfected a legendary sword style. Not long after, a final sword formula woke up, sending a flash of light that turned a heavenly blade into his grip. Wang Yang let out a furious roar, giving them one final chance to flee from the Ling Jian sect. The leader laughed at him, puffing up about his own rank while calling Wang Yang an arrogant kid. A hated disciple charged forward to kill Wang Yang and overthrow the entire sect. Wang Yang casually swung his sword with effortless grace. The heavy weight made the attacker panic and scream for his master to save him. A sudden flash of sword light cut the enemy in half, leaving everyone else frozen in horror. The leader let out a furious howl, refusing to believe that a disciple of the Fangyan sect had just died right before his eyes. Wang Yang spoke with ice in his voice, declaring that walking alone into the Ling Jian sect was a crime that could never be forgiven. He thought that with their arrogance, they had walked straight into death themselves. Ling Jizian screamed out his anger and promised to drag the whole sect down with his own student. He lifted his sword, and a deadly force rushed straight at Wang Yang. Wang Yang laughed it off and said he'd be happy to send them down to the underworld to meet up. His friend tried to stop him out of fear of Wang Yang's power, but Ling Jizin pushed them to build the revenge array anyway. Everyone pressed their palms together at once to blend the powers of heaven, earth, and humanity into one. A huge shape quickly wrapped itself around Wang Yang. Ling Jizin sneered with icy confidence, convinced he had already won. Wang Yang waved it off, declaring that such a childish trick couldn't hold him back. He lifted his blade, drawing power from the heavens to smash through the protective circle right away. Realizing his power was no longer held back, the Fang NCC group fell into a panic while Ling Jizin tried desperately to calm them, though his own rising terror slipped right through. They made up their minds to throw everything they had into one last big attack. Ling Jizin let out a roar and brought down the heaven-slaying sword move. The other two fired their earth and human swords at the same time. Amidst their combined attack, Wang Yang stood calm and unafraid, sneering at their weakness before unleashing his supreme divine art. The display horrified Ling Jizin, leaving him unable to comprehend such overwhelming power. Wang Yang launched his counterattack, causing Ling Jizin to scream for his men to run. The wind howled like a beast while the sword burst out of its scabbard, slicing one enemy in half before anyone could blink. Before he could even scream, a cold voice spoke from behind him. Another sword strike came down and ended his life quickly. As Wang Yang spun around, he saw only a flash of purple vanishing far away. Ling Ji Zinren ran away in fear, promising to get revenge another day. Wang Yang sneered, claiming that no amount of speed could save him. He finally unleashed the legendary sword technique that everyone had been dreaming of. A golden sword beam ripped through the air, killing Ling Jizin and removing the danger. The system spotted a soul trying to run away and waited for orders, but Wang Yang let it live just to have some fun. The last bit of spirit ran away, grinding its teeth while shouting curses at Ling Jian's sect. Soon, everyone came back to the Ling Jian sect after the mess was over. All the disciples bowed their heads low with deep respect. Cuneo asked who the attackers were, and Wang Yang calmly told him they were from the Fang Yin sect, which had now been wiped out. The sect master trembled with fear, not knowing how to deal with what had just happened. The Grand Preceptor told us that behind the Feng Yin sect, the Yin sect stood strong, protected by a supreme cultivator. The sect master nervously weighed their odds, whispering to himself that their ancestors still watched over them. The Grand Preceptor warned that once Wang Yang left for the wedding and stayed in the capital, the sect master's heart would break even more. Wang Yang commanded everyone to pour all their energy into getting the wedding ready before worrying about anything else. News flew through the palace that the patriarch had finally appeared and the empress was bringing bridal gifts, which only made people jealous and start whispering behind their hands. Wang Yang looked furious, his golden glow shining as brightly as the sun. The disciples were shocked to see how young the patriarch looked until they realized it was Wang Yang. He drifted down slowly as everyone stared at him with strange looks. They quietly agreed that he carried the aura of an emperor right into your powerhouse. Wang Yang declared he was marrying the empress in just 5 days and demanded everyone work together to make it happen. Some of the disciples whispered to each other, feeling that their heavy work felt just like slavery. Swept by intense pressure, everyone dropped to their knees and promised to give everything to the ceremony. Wang Yang promised that after the wedding, he would give them pills and personally pick out disciples to train. The crowd cheered and officially named Wang Yin as the Grand Supreme Sect Master. With the elders at the front, all the disciples knelt down and shouted their thanks to the Grand Supreme Sect Master. They promised to bring Ling Jian back to its former glory and power. Wang Yang confirmed with the system that it had handled all the treasure rewards, and the system proudly assured him that everything was fully prepared. As the wedding plans moved forward, Feng Yin sect held a tense secret meeting after their master warned that Ling Jizin's strength wouldn't return, which only made his hatred for Ling Jianse grow even deeper. Ling Jizin's face darkened with anger when he learned Wang Yang had reached the supreme realm, and he demanded to know if the Feng Yin sect would let such a disgrace stand. The sect master decided to ask Jianse for help to wipe out Ling Jian. While Ling Jizin bowed in gratitude and cursed Wang Yang's doomed fate, all his wedding preparations rushed forward with every detail carefully set. Elder D snapped at the group to move the lanterns just so, insisting on absolute perfection. Elder Li warned that this was the Grand Supreme Master's wedding, so everyone instantly got to work without making a single mistake. Grand Preptor carried the gift list from the Great Shin Empire to Sect Master Li's for her to look over. Watching the rare treasures, Master Leo feared the Ling Jian sect simply couldn't match such incredible gifts. The Grand Preceptor told him that love was all that truly mattered, and his gift was enough. Wang Yang insisted that the Empress's wedding couldn't be treated lightly, and to everyone's surprise, he declared that while the Ling Jian sect could stay humble, the mighty Qing Empire must never be disrespected. The Grand Preceptor bowed his head and asked for forgiveness for doing things without asking first. Wang Yang proudly declared that the dowry had been ready for a long time, so his new partner would never be treated unfairly. When the Grand Preceptor read the fancy list, he was totally blown away by how generous Wang Yang made the Empress feel. The system sprite popped up with a big smile, bragging about all the gifts it had prepared, and Wang Yang felt truly happy and thankful. He said the dowry was just the opening act, with the wedding day itself being the main show. Days later, Ling Jiansept felt completely refreshed, and while everyone was sure the trip was perfectly planned, the Grand Priest wondered where the bridal escort was, until Wang Yang calmly reassured him that the time was almost here. Soon after, a flower carriage pulled by 3-winged white horses dropped from the sky, and a dazzling system sprite appeared to brag that this magnificent wedding procession was so amazing it would make others jealous. The Grand Preceptor stared in shock at the massive imperial beasts, while Wang Yang calmly said it was time to go, boarded the carriage, and led the way to the Great Shang Empire. Even as the disciples knelt to bid farewell to their master, and Yin Lang waited nervously in her red wedding dress for the groom who hadn't arrived. Upon hearing that the king had arrived, she quickly stood up with a smile, but was gently told to keep her manners up as Wang Yang walked into the inner hall to welcome his new bride. He was amazed inside that his new life had brought him such a perfect match. Wang Yang asked for a promise to last a lifetime, and Yin Lang gave a soft but steady smile. He carefully lifted her delicate veil. Yin Lang shyly called him her husband. As Wang Yang gaped in awe at her stunning beauty, the air buzzed with endless praise for her gifts while they gazed out to see a magnificent wedding procession arriving, leaving Yin Lang unable to hide her own shock. Before she could move, Wang Yang suddenly scooped her up into his arms. She turned red and started to panic, but Wang Yang laughed it off with a warm smile that brought them even closer. Right as they were climbing into the carriage, A dark gray light fell across the sky, and they all jumped with fear. Kuan Shao and the Grand Perceptor both felt something was terribly wrong, their faces turning pale with fear. Yinlang feared intruders were coming to cause trouble, but Wang Yang calmly assured him he would take care of it quickly. High above, Kuan showed up with a woman in white robes, knowing this fight was going to be unavoidable. While three others grumbled as they wrestled with a giant turtle shell, Wang Yang climbed up from the ground to walk right up to them. Kuan Yuan put on a friendly smile, acting like he had known him for years. Wang Yang stood cold and barefaced, revealing the truth and calling out his endless bullying of the great Shang Empire. As Qi Yuan called upon destiny to force peace, the three men behind him lifted their deadly weapons, screaming that Yinlang had to surrender. Wang Yang sneered, warning that while he hated spilling blood on his wedding day, any more pressure meant they would die. Kuan bowed to the icy white-haired woman Juxin for permission to strike first, and she nodded coldly before he commanded three generals to join forces, awakening the grand power of the symbols. A powerful spiritual force burst forth, causing the first divine beast to appear in the sky. Four spirit beasts surrounded Wang Yang, creating a giant spell that locked the whole area in place. Once all four symbols were gathered, the formation's glow reached its brightest point. Wang Yang sneered at them as mere beasts, knowing that once they fell, the array master would bring the barrier down. Thinking fast, he poured every bit of his strength into his holy blade and sprinted right at Qi Yuan. When Kuan saw the terrifying sword coming, he froze in fear and screamed for help. So Kaiwan knew he had to dodge and let the deadly strike hit the four magical symbols instead, causing a massive explosion that left Kaiwan barely alive but still standing. Wang Yang frowned as he realized the array was too strong for that blow to have ended it. Green and red lights poured down thick and fast, just like a storm of shooting stars. Yinlang, trembling with worry, wanted to fight, but the Grand Preceptor panicked and claimed only a Supreme could break that formation. Despite her frustration, she felt comforted knowing that Wang Yang's secret power would soon turn the battle around. While fighting, Wang Yang saw Kaiwan Yuan heal too fast and realized the magic circle was evil. After a moment's pause, Wang Yang chose to unleash his final move, the Heavenly Evolution 9 Tribulation Sword. He unleashed a move powerful enough to shatter the world, only to be met by a giant claw that forced him to instantly receive the Heavenly Spirit Pupil artifact to break the trap. Wang Yang didn't even pause before he merged the holy object into his own body. A rush of spiritual power opened a glowing eye on his forehead to find the core weakness of the magical array. The glowing heavenly eye showed him the complete shape of the four demon symbols on the ceiling in his mind. Wang Yang cheered with delight as he locked onto the critical array node. He dumped every bit of power into the array's heart, sending a painful shockwave through the team, keeping it running. Zhong Jie was harshly thrown into another world, while Wang Yang, shaking with fear the sheer power he faced, sneered coldly at his enemies who were about to die. With a single sharp swing of his sword, he struck down his foe before the opponent could even try to fight back. Wang Yang pushed forward with his strongest sword power, refusing to stop even though he had no rest. The other two immortal kings fell to their deaths in an instant. Qi Yuan froze in terror, suddenly realizing that even as a mighty emperor, he was just as weak as an ant facing Wang Yang. Wang Yang thrust his sword forward and declared in a cold voice that it was now his turn. Just as the fatal strike was about to land, a spear fired from far away knocked it aside. The shockwave from the spear's crushing power made Wang Yang jump in surprise. Suddenly, Jukin stepped in front of Kaiwan Yuan, vowing she wouldn't allow her subordinate to die. Wang Yang stared in shock at Jukin's hidden power and asked the system about his secrets, only to be reminded to use his special pupil to reveal the truth after forgetting it. Wang Yang immediately brought the artifact's power to life. The third eye scanned Jukes to read her power, but the result was warped and wrong, showing a creepy, broken picture instead. Wang Yang froze in shock at what he saw, and the system immediately jumped in to scold him, reminding him that his heavenly spirit pupil wasn't meant for dirty thoughts. Jukin's face turned red with anger as he shouted that Wang Yang was shameless. She erupted with deadly power, her body blazing as she soared into the sky. Jukin lunged with her spear just as Wang Yang scrambled to lift his sword and block. The empty space between them showed that Jukes, an 8th-stage emperor, faced Wang Yang, a 4th-stage wielder who spun her spear like a violent storm, sending her spiritual power crashing down with crushing force. Wang Yang braced himself, gathering his strength for a powerful counter. Jukin launched her deadly spear art that tore through the sky, clashing violently with a sword and shaking the heavens. The force of the impact knocked Wang Yang backward, leaving him at a disadvantage for a moment. From a safe distance, Qi Manhwa laughed and claimed that Jezin could crush whole nations. Wang Yang replied with icy calm and unleashed the heavenly evolution 9 tribulations thunder slash. A bolt of lightning struck Yuan like a sword before he could even move. Juqin grabbed the opening to strike with her spear, making sure Wang Yang couldn't even take a breath. Wang Yang twisted through the air, just barely avoiding the hit, then launched a new spear move, pouring every bit of her strength into the next strike. Wang Yang stared at her moving shape with wide, surprised eyes, so distracted by her graceful pose that he almost made a mistake until the system's warning pulled him back just in time. Seeing the danger, Wang Yang refocused, and the system marked her as both tough and valuable, while hinting that he should use a secret technique to reach the supreme realm. Wang Yang turned down a shortcut because he wanted the fight to last longer, so he checked his saved-up points with the system and got the go-ahead for a reward. The system rewarded him with the sacred, profound Codex, making Wang Yang thrilled that his hard work finally paid off. He instantly finished his cultivation, unlocking the divine merit emperor body and climbing to the 9th stage, where his power now matched that of a supreme powerhouse. Wang Yang stood tall, sure that he was finally ready to stand up to Juqin as an equal. Juke felt the air change as Wang Yang, confused by her new strength, dared her to fight him right then to prove it. Enraged, Juke shot her killing spear like a meteor, while Wang Yang laughed at the dim stars, saying they could never shine as bright as the sun and moon. He instantly replied by summoning the 9 tribulations sword from the heavens. The force of the blow was so strong that Juin screamed as her holy spear snapped in half. The shattered piece slipped into Wang Yang's hands. The system figured out that this broken holy object was a lost treasure and told the group how valuable it really was. Juqin yelled out, begging him to throw her weapon back. Wang Yang looked down at her like a child and quietly slipped the spear into his pocket. She clenched her jaw and called him a scoundrel. She tried to grab it back, but was shoved away, making Wang Yang think she might be going crazy. He chose to hold her back first and worry about thinking later. He suddenly slammed his palm in her belly to knock her down. The system chided him for being unchivalrous, but Wang Yang shot back, demanding to know how to tie her up. The system shouted out that he had crushed an ancient domain commander and handed him the beautiful immortal vine and a top-tier mental art as his prize. Wang Yang doesn't believe the weird cultivation guide, but the system insists the reward is just right. Wang Yang gets so mad at the system for showing something dirty that he starts shouting at it. The system instantly flips the name to Heavenly Pivot Spirit Art, making it sound way more fancy. Suddenly, a voice shouts out and freezes Wang Yang in his tracks. The speaker pleads to spare Juin, the great pillar of the Qi dynasty, and even offers his own life in return. Wang Yang sneers, telling him to thank the Qi emperor for the fancy wedding gift. He threatens that if anyone causes more trouble, he will crush the Qi dynasty with his own 2 hands. He promises to bring help himself in just a few days to pass judgment, telling them to get ready to die. Kaiwan Bose agreed to pass the message on, saying every single word exactly as he heard it. Not long after, Wang Yang made his way back to his group. Yinlang anxiously rushes to check on her husband as the national preceptor laughs, declaring that Wang Yang has won completely. Wang Yang throws Jukes down to reveal that she is the shadow general of Qi, now held as a prisoner. Jukes jumps out of his bed screaming, begging to be let go. Wang Yang quickly whispers a spell to shut her mouth. He says her power has been crushed down to that of a mortal king, and now she must be held for judgment. Wang Yang turns, slides his arm around Yinlang, and softly calls out her name. He pushes her toward the carriage just as the lucky moment arrives, and she turns red but immediately gets in. The wedding of the Ling Jian sect is a wild party with big powers showing up to make the place look even cooler. Everyone is stunned when envoys from the ancient pavilion arrive. Many powerful new groups also emerge, showing that Lingian sects is rising above its third-place status. The sect master quickly tells his disciples to welcome the crowd of honored visitors, while whispers spread that some admire the Grand Supreme sect master, while others speak badly of him. Mean-spirited jokes set off a chaotic game of musical chairs. A young man in the crowd shakes with rage at the insult. Just as Zaxian lunged for the door, something held him back right before he could escape. His friend warns that the mocker is an Emperor Realm expert from the Golden Gate Palace who will do anything to provoke him. As the ceremony starts, the couple's stunning looks have everyone breathless, with Yinlang's breathtaking beauty sparking whispers and envy among the crowd. Kinjio looked inside and thought that nobles were too high above the common people to judge them. The crowd gasps in shock when they realize the bride is the legendary Empress of Great Shang. An arrogant man steps up to gush over the Empress's beauty while sneering at Prince Yang and calling the marriage a total waste. He boldly tries to tempt Lang to leave her new husband and come with him instead. Prince Yang gave an icy shove, telling him to get lost and keep his dirty hands off the wedding. The fool gets more arrogant, bragging that the Golden Gate Palace will help her crush her enemies if she teams up with him. His friends jump in, bragging about young Master Sida's scary power to convince the Empress. Prince Yang steps forward and softly rests his hand on the man's shoulder. He stands firm and says that, no matter who supports him, the man will die today. Saidu, acting with great pride, challenges the Empress to a deadly fight to claim her hand. The crowd roars and places bets as Prince Yang sneers at his opponent's weakness and unleashes a deadly, explosive attack. The two walk out of the hall and stand ready to fight each other in the courtyard. Sita shows off his powerful artifact and laughs at Ling Ji for not knowing its true value. Prince Yang laughs and calls the object a funeral gift, which makes his enemy furious. When the prince realizes the weapon will last a lifetime, his drive to kill the enemy only grows stronger. Sita stops talking and strikes with his flute. A chilling tune suddenly bursts forth, carrying a deadly power that seems to break the very soul. The crowd winces in pain as hope begins to fade. Some can take the pain and scream out for death. In the middle of the attack, Saitu is scared to see Prince Yang standing there as if nothing is happening. Prince Yang walks forward, sneering that Saita's song now sounds like his own funeral march. He pulls out his sword and uses a super powerful move that makes the ground shake. A sword that splits the sky shines brightly and roars, wiping out everything in its way. The crowd stood frozen in shock as C2 vanished in just one blow. Prince Yang stands tall and warns that anyone who pushes him will end up just like the last one. He snatches up the fallen C2, gripping it like a limp rag doll. His challenge rang out one more time, making the whole crowd fall quiet. The crowd stares in horror, knowing he just killed the young master of the Golden Gate Palace right at his own wedding. The Samaster quickly fixes the mess, making the ceremony keep going as if nothing went wrong. Deep inside, the sect master fumed, knowing Ling Jian had just created a deadly foe by using his sharp eyes to expose the sect master's own foolishness. Prince Yang and Yil Linlang walked back into the hall to finally finish their wedding ceremonies. He can't help but secretly wonder how fate led him to wake up in a new world and marry such a breathtaking beauty. Prince Yang makes a silent promise to himself that he will never hurt the woman standing next to him. The old ritual goes on with a quiet, serious beauty. The nervous officiant panics when he sees no elders around, so he stammers out the wedding vows on the fly. The entire sect erupted into laughter until King Zhao's roar finally forced them to shut up. Prince Yang firmly guides his new bride toward the sleeping room. Inside, Yinlang sits up straight on the bed, wearing leggings by Demir. Prince Yang sits quietly beside her, whispering her name softly. Navy Wai Linlang asks about their wedding night, and remembering the preceptor's advice, he tells her everything is ready and she should just let things happen naturally. Yinlang shyly lay down and gently urged her husband to start. Suddenly, Prince Yang's reason shatters as his desire takes hold. He ripped off his fancy robes and held her tight. The system sprite peeks out, growing way too excited by the scene. Prince Yang whipped the curtains closed, causing the sprite to scream in protest. He tosses the sprite aside and declares, "This part isn't for kids," while the sprite protests that it's just there to check on the quest, not to spy. Outside, a sneaker stumbles upon the sect master who is already hiding in the shadows. The two whispered to the sect master, who nodded to keep them quiet so they wouldn't disturb the couple. The emperor's wedding night is seen as an insane, once-in-a-millennium chance to understand divine secrets. The man gets it right away and secretly respects how clever the sect master is. Suddenly Qinjao bursts in, swinging his hammer and furious that they use cultivation as an excuse to peek. The two spotted the voyagers panic and begged her to hear their explanation. Qinjao shows no mercy and smashes them both away with one huge swing. Standing outside the bridal chamber, Kaneo felt a sharp pang of envy, wishing she could be the one inside. All of a sudden, the sky bursts into brilliant light as a fiery phoenix soars across the heavens. Kaneo freezes, realizing that this stillness is the unmistakable mark of an emperor-level cultivator. Then a giant blue dragon appears and rises up right next to the phoenix. Inside, the couple celebrates their breakthrough together, knowing their shared practice is the reason they feel so powerful. The system sprite grumbles, feeling totally overlooked. As the first light of dawn breaks, every disciple of the Indian sect is called to gather in the plaza. The sect master angrily shouts, who dared to ring the soul bell, while his disciples tremble in fear and confusion, only to quickly bow when the Grand Supreme Sect Master and the Empress arrive. He begs for forgiveness for waking them up. Prince Yang quietly admitted that he was the one who rang the bell. The sect leader acts surprised, but in his heart he is puzzled by what his ancestors really want. Prince Yang called everyone together to thank the sect and hand out the gifts he had prepared. The sect master humbly says it was just duty, but when he sees the rare pills in the box, his face lights up because Ling Jian's just struck gold. Prince Yang then declares that hell will personally guide chosen disciples to make the same much stronger. The Sem gladly accepts, insisting he knows his disciples' potential better than anyone. Yin Lang grabs the moment to ask her husband for more advice, and his teasing promise makes her cheeks turn red. Yin Lang flushed red at the suggestive words, making the system's sprite go quiet because they thought such talk wasn't proper for a public place. The sect master announces that every talented candidate has gathered, leaving Prince Yang so stunned by the list that he spits out his tea in shock. Prince Yang grumbled, blaming the sect master for misunderstanding things by mixing up the elders and just taking anyone to fill the spot. The sect master's hard eyes show he only cares about Ling Jian's true strength. He makes it clear that weak people shouldn't hold high positions. Prince Yang quietly uses his special sight to check everyone's strength, noticing that Kunjio stands out with her rare body, while most elders are just average and many disciples are weak. So he worries the sect depends too much on her, but Yin Lang reassures him by promising to find new talents from Great Shun, and he agrees, trusting that fate will bring the right people to them. As the system sprite shouts out a brand new mission and drops a legendary sect technique, a mountain of manuals with ridiculously over-the-top titles spills out, leaving Prince Yang completely baffled. The system quickly apologized for the glitch and promised to fix it right away. Prince Yang picks out the most powerful moves, hands them to the elders, and tells them to master the whole set to grow stronger. The elders bow together, promising to train with everything they have and never let anyone down. King Xiaowai groans in frustration as the older scholars fight over which research to fund, acting shamelessly. When Kung Xiao gets her special power, she's told she can reach the top level, a feat so great the system itself praises her. Kung Xiao is shaken to her core, yet she feels deep gratitude and swears to train harder to honor her ancestors' trust. Yin Lang stares at Wang Yang, wondering if she truly belongs in the Ling Jian sect. While lost in thought, she suddenly finds a book appearing right in front of her. Reading the title, Yin Lang turns a deep shade of red, while Wang Yang chuckles and calls a special manual meant just for his wife. Curious, she lifts the lid and starts reading. In a flash, Yin Lang's heart pounds fast as she stares in shock at the daring words on the page. She nervously offers to try the trick, and Wang Yang jumps at the chance without even thinking twice. Yin Lang quietly enjoys her special treat. Inside the Golden Gate Palace, the air is thick with tension. Master Ming Hui storms in, screaming to see the sect leader, but the disciples shut her out because they are ordered to keep the place locked tight. She cries out in agony for her dead son, but they warn that any move now could doom the whole sect. Ignoring them, Mingo makes up her mind to take revenge all by herself. With that, she storms out of the Golden Gate Palace. Her heart burns with anger, and she swears she will make her son's killers pay. Back at Ling Jian's sect, everyone lives on as if nothing ever happened. But suddenly, a dark and threatening feeling covers the whole sect. Inside the training hall, Wang Yang calmly guides Kinja through the mysterious art of cultivation. Outdoors, loud insults bounce back and forth, openly sneering at the Ling Jian sect. Wang Yang instantly feels that the sex barrier is being attacked. Yin Langling nervously shouts a warning, her voice trembling with fear as she senses the evil intent of the intruder. Wang Yang promises to protect her and vows to handle the troublemaker herself. Kunia angrily jumps up to fight and quiet down the monster from the fallmouth. Wang Yang stops her in her tracks, ordering her to guard the important spot while he steps out to face the enemy. At the outer edge of the formation, roaring waves of sword energy crash against our shields with a sound so loud it shakes the very air. Minghui laughs at the flimsy wall while her partner stares in shock at its power, right until Wang Yang steps in with a freezing warning. He calmly introduces himself as Wang Yang, the Grand Supreme of the SE sect and the master of the Lingian school. Mihui screams out in rage as she spots the man who killed her son, but the Sky Hermit Xingguan holds her back and steps forward to strike first. Wang Yin laughs at their messy connection, showing everyone just how tangled their lives have become. Furious, Qiangwen unleashes a fierce sword strike, but Wang Yang casually deflects it with a sarcastic jab while activating his ultimate defense to block the blow. The 5 elemental powers blend together perfectly and melt away the sword's blow without any trouble. Qianguan is terrified that his own skill has been swallowed whole, making him fear Wang Yang has finally reached the highest level of power. Wang Yang calmly calls for an end to their feud, proving he has complete control. Xingguan holds his ground while Ming Hui cries out in rage, blaming him for letting her son's death go unpunished. Ming Hui spits out her poison and vows to crush the Ling Ji insect and kill Yin Lang herself. When he hears her name, Wang Yang's eyes freeze into ice. The system sprite shouts that the host's killing intent has finally flared up. Wang Yang sees that mercy won't save them, so he threatens to wipe out their whole family and coldly tells his enemies they're heading to the underworld to meet Sayu. The system cheerfully gives out a special skill that helps families get back together. Wang Yang replies in his essay that he will claim the reward once he has killed the 2 people standing before him. Celestial Hermit Tian fights for his life while Wang Yang rains down unstoppable heavenly sword blows. The unrelenting force of the sword drives Tianyuan to collapse, blood spilling from his mouth as he takes a fatal blow. Ming Hui screams in anger while Tianguan barely manages to suggest their last dual sword move. She nods without warmth, and together they bring the twin water-fire blades to life. Wang Yang silently fumed at the dirty trick, calling it just as filthy as the people who used it. The tiny spirit in the system is urging you to use the brand new holy magic to strike down your foes. Wang Yang sees that the triple soul avatar matches the one who mastered 3 purities, and even though the system jokes that fighting 2 is fair, he pauses to think about his next move. As his enemies get closer, Wang Yang unleashes a secret power that splits him into hundreds of copies, turning the battlefield into a wild mess. The counterstrike hits them before they can tell what's real from what's fake. Wang Yang grabs the opening and lands one strike after another to take out his foes. The sword of light shines from every angle, blocking every way out. One clever move squeezes both enemies into a dead end where nothing but ruin awaits them. The sheer power of the blow proves to them that he truly belongs in the supreme realm. Ming Hoyo screams as the blade cuts into her, and Kyans rushes forward in a panic to save her. Qianyuan begs to swap his life for hers, but she stays angry and won't give in. Wang Yang spoke with icy calm, declaring that not a single soul would survive the day. With hope gone, Qianguan charges forward with nothing left to lose. He screams that he'll drag Wang Yang down to the grave right along with him. The machine screams of self-destruction, yet Wang Yang stands calm while Chang Xuan, having foreseen the crash, dives to hug Wang Yang and shouts for Ming Hui to run. Min Hui stands frozen in horror, wishing he'd never trusted such a fool. A massive explosion rocks the whole mountain range, so Ming Hui grabs her chance to run away and find another Supreme to take revenge for her son. But before she can move, a sharp palm strike hits her right in the face. Ming Hui is stuck in a weird, empty space, screaming in fear. Wang Yang's cold voice says that no one can escape their fate today, and he sets down a heavy chess piece as if he is passing her a death sentence. He lifts his sword high, and a terrifying urge to kill fills the air around him. The sword crashes down, sending blood flying everywhere. For now, Wang Yang chooses to hold back and let her live. Ming Hui shouts a fierce curse, using the Buddha's anger as a weapon to threaten. Wang Yang calmly notes that he has already offended Buddha, Confucius, and the Tao. The system sprite jumps for joy and shouts how brave he is for breaking all 3 rules at once. Wang Yang thinks his chaos was planned, but the system quickly says it had nothing to do with it. He lets the matter go with a small smile, thinking about Yin Lang waiting for him. Wang Yang returns to Ling Jian's sect and lands in the center, where his worried wife asks if he is hurt, but he waves it off with a smile, saying his big win means he is fine and there is no need to worry. The sect leader politely asks who their enemy is, and Wang Yang reveals that it is Si Chua's mother along with a celestial hermit named Chang Xuan. The name sends a gasp through the crowd, prompting Wang Yang to ask about the mysterious group known as the Divine Academy of Moonlight. They are known as wise scholars from the Eastern continent who devote their entire lives to seeking knowledge. Everyone is too scared to mess with them because they have a bad name for a long time. Even though the SEM Master knows his enemies are harmless, he remains completely baffled by why the Grand Supreme SEM acts the way he does. Wang Yang tells everyone to just focus on getting really good at the techniques they've been given. The sect master fears their spiritual energy is fading, so Wang Yang thinks about taking over a blessed land from another sect to save them. The sect master is so scared by the thought that he warns everyone that a sect war could pull in the Holy Lands and bring disaster. Wang Yang admits he doesn't like getting tangled in fate and would rather walk a simpler road. The system sprite jumps in right away, shouting that it can fix the problem. A system window pops up, gifting you a special immortal stone from the Violet Mansion to help your character grow stronger. Wang Yang leans in, eyes wide with curiosity, and wonders just what magic this treasure can do. The system says it strengthens your spirit vein, makes your spiritual energy richer, and helps you find better spirit stones. The disciples stare in awe at the violet light, while Wang Yang shouts about its magic. Everyone is left speechless, staring at a treasure so rare that even the greatest love stories could never hope to find it. Without saying another word, Wang Yang flies up into the air, clutching the immortal stone tightly in his hands. He buries the treasure deep in the heart of the sect to wake it up. As soon as the stone hits the spirit vein, a burst of violet light swallows up the whole Linyan sect. The disciples gasp in awe as the spirit vein bursts with life, sending a surge of boundless energy through them. The sect master snaps out of it, shouting for everyone to meditate as he spots this rare fortune. On his command, every disciple sat down to soak up the growing wave of energy. Soon, happy shouts fill the air as many people in the sect break through to a new level. Yinlang leans in close and whispers why Wang Yang isn't practicing his cultivation as well. Wang Yang casually pulled out a book, declaring that meditation was too slow and that jewel cultivation was the best path, which made Yinlang turn red and left King Gio quietly curious. Time slips away slowly until the first light of morning paints the sky. Wang Yang stretched himself awake and sighed, wishing the night before had been less tiring. When he sees Yinlang awake, he softly asks why she is up this early. She tells him they're going to see her family today, and he laughs, saying he never forgot. After conquering 6 nations, Yinlang seriously raises the issue of post-war politics, only for Wang Yang to leisurely hand it all over to her. Just then, the system announced that his world had grown stronger, yet his spiritual power still sat at the emperor level. Wang Yang scowls as he feels his Dharma body's power fading away quickly. The system says his good points were used up fighting in battles, and he has to earn them back by doing kind new things. Wang Yang, though annoyed, decides to cause big trouble in the great Qing Empire just to earn back his favor. Far away, Suin Shaniquan, Yu Emperor kneels in shame before his clan's patriarch, who coldly scolds him for failing against Great Shang and losing Yinlang to an enemy. The family head says he won't punish him himself since he doesn't have the same power as his third uncle, but he insists they must still get Yinlang back because she is too valuable to lose, while Susin Shun fears the Great Qin Empire is far too strong to fight. The patriarch declared that hell would act on its own, mocking the idea that a tiny group could ever protect Great Shun forever. Suin Shun flatters the patriarch with his mighty power, convinced that Great Shang and Ling Jin sect are doomed and must immediately prepare their armies. Once Su Qin Shun got his orders, he turned and walked out of the Grand Hall. He quietly curses the lustful old patriarch, blaming him for tricking the ministers of Great Shang and forcing him to ask for help from outside. At the same time, in the Great Qin Empire, the streets are packed with people talking excitedly about the Empress coming home. As the fancy carriage pulls up, Wang Yang and Yinlang are welcomed with loud cheers and crowds bowing down to them. The system boasted of a huge boost from the people's faith, but Wang Yang just smiled, noting that mortals can't understand the world of a cultivator. When they returned to the palace, the head teacher rushed to greet them with urgent news about the government's new plans. Frontline war reports show that the border crisis is so bad we can't wait any longer. As the crowd cheers, Yinlang lifts her hand to let everyone stand up. As the Empress quickly takes charge again to help the disaster-stricken South prefer, Wang Yang can only sigh at how boring politics feels. After talking for a long time, Yinlang finally calls the court session to a close. Wang Yang takes a long, happy breath, finally feeling free. When the system asks for his next move, Wang Yang replies that he will head to the heavenly prison with the preceptor to check on the prisoner Jukes inside. Wang Yang and the preceptor stepped into the gloomy dungeon to recruit an emperor-level expert, waving off formalities as the prisoners wailed at the sight of the criminals who once terrorized the land. Wang Yang stands calm as the system shudders in fear of the dark, while a prisoner taunts them from a distance. Wang Yang throws out one icy warning, and the dungeon's power vanishes instantly. A terrified scream stops everyone as the preceptor explains this is the top security cell, where Juksun is kept suppressed by sealing treasure. The heavy gate slowly groans as it swings open. The preceptor nervously warns of danger, but Wang Yang confidently tells him to step back, promising to handle it alone. The moment he steps inside, both Wang Yang and the system can't help but frown at what they see. Jukes and Lies cowers in the dark corner of the cell, shaking but frozen in fear. Wang Yang checks her pulse and feels her skin to be sure she's still breathing. Right as he moves in, June jolts awake and lets out a terrible scream. She flung threats heavy with killing intent, leaving Wang Yang both startled and regretful, realizing that such beauty could hide such madness. The system suggests rewriting her mind, which instantly catches Wang Yang's interest as he pulls out a renamed Cultivation manual to use as a tool for control. Wang Yang looks closely at the strange symbols, then wipes out the old magic seal to put his own power in charge. He turns on his special sight to study the strange patterns carved into Jukin's skin. Once he found the key node, he admitted the original seal maker was truly a master. As he gets closer, Jezin panics and begs him to stop, but he coldly replies that she will submit soon, then pushes the sealing artifact into her mouth to start the process. Jukin's body shakes and twists wildly as the change takes hold. In the dark, another trapped woman appears, glowing with a creepy, evil light. She spoke with doubt, not knowing who had broken her seal. A cold, bossy voice rang out loud and clear. Xuan Yud stepped forward, his cold eyes sneering at the seal that held them captive. She sneered at his high rank and asked why he'd ever come down to such a dirty place. Xuan Yudi spoke straight up and said he was there just to kill her. She snapped back, calling his words a lie and saying she was kept around only because she was useful. Xuan Yud's face went pale with fury, and he clenched his fist in anger. The moment it happened, she was racked with agony, screaming out and begging for mercy. Xuanyu, feeling pleased, dragged her into a serious conversation. He offered her a way out if she could kill the man who took his life's work. She sadly knew she had no choice but to do it. Once he was gone, she sneered in the dark, mocking Su Inshun's foolishness and plotting her revenge. Back in the heavenly prison, Wang Yang wished he had thought ahead before breaking the old seal. The system whispered to him of other ways to guide his spirit servant and spark new ideas within him. He turned the pages of the book, found a new sealing charm, and felt really happy about it. Wang Yang spoke softly to Juin, letting her know the process ahead would hurt. As his magic surged, the prison shook and scared everyone nearby. Yin Lang felt a strange vibration and guessed that something big was happening inside the heavenly prison. Wang Yang asked the system for the results and learned that such power meant success. Jukes slowly opened her eyes, feeling totally lost about where she was. She felt like she didn't really know who she was, but her heart knew Wang Yang was her master. Wang Yang was stunned to see the new charm working faster than anyone thought possible. The system cheered him for taming a mighty ancient spirit servant and handed him 3 legendary pills to help him grow stronger. The pills showed they could bring intelligence to life and help people reach higher levels, which made Wang Yang incredibly excited. He instantly ordered Jukes to take a pill for the test. In an instant, she shuddered as her world leaped straight into the realm of the Supreme Emperor. Feeling completely at peace, Wang Yang chose a fresh name for herself, Wuanji, to signal her new life. Next, he used magic from the gods to lift the last seals. Wuanji stood on the ground, released with perfect grace. All of a sudden, she threw her arms around Wang Yang, so much so that he was totally caught off guard. The system chuckled at the scene, just like an audience enjoying a show. As Wuquanji clung to her with a tender smile, a panicked Wang Yang stumbled upon the truth. The new charm had bonded her soul to him for a century. Wuquanji coyly begged for help, which made Wang Yang furious and convinced him the system was playing tricks on him. The system calmly said it wasn't to blame since Hin had picked the charm all by himself. Just then, Yin Lang rushed in, looking worried and asking about Wang Yang's condition. Caught in an awkward scene, Wang Yang quickly tried to explain that it was all a misunderstanding. Yin Lang whispered to herself that she had been too busy with government duties to care for her husband. She couldn't trust what he wanted, while Wang Yang pleaded uselessly that everything was actually fine. The national advisor walked in to say sorry, but Wang Yang just got madder because he picked the worst possible moment. Wu Quanji softly calmed him until Wang Yang finally confessed his true plan to turn Jukin into a hidden passageway for the royal court. Yin Lang saw her own error and felt deeply touched by her husband's silent act of giving. Wang Yang just went along with her and stopped trying to argue. The national advisor watched Wanji and saw that even though she looked human, her thoughts and feelings were not yet whole. Wang Yang knew the first pill needed a moment to take effect, but he couldn't wait, so he swallowed a second one right away. He threw another pill at Wani without even thinking twice. The magic from the pills made her glow and act quiet whenever her master looked at her. Just as the national advisor panicked and shouted that the defense force was under attack, enraging Yin Lang, Wang Yang instantly spotted 3 powerful enemies and handed over his divine weapon Wanji, which Yin Lang accepted with pure joy like receiving a blessing. Wang Yang sent the advisor to protect the palace while he, Yelin Lang, and Wuan Ji marched off to fight. As the courtiers watched them leave with prayers for the emperor and hopes of victory before the Guardian formation, Wang Yang stood cold and declared that Deng was now under his protection. 3 invaders stepped forward, their powers so strong it felt like a crushing weight. 2 powerful emperors stood at the peak of their reigns while the half-Su, Shun, demanded Yin Lang with arrogant pride. Wang Yang laughed at his fake emperor title and said that day will be the day he died. Su Qin Shun burned with anger while Yin Yang teased Wang Yang with flirtatious remarks. Just as she tried to finish her words, a sharp blow hit her while she cursed, and Su Qin Shin screamed at Yin Mayan to kill Wang Yang or face the consequences. Wang Yin asked about the strange jade pendant, and the system told him it was just a common way to control spirits in the cultivation world. Yin Yang gave a soft smile, pretending she had no choice and promising to be gentle with him. That tone made Yilin Lang so angry, she told her to stay away from her husband. Imai Niang pretended to be gentle while teasing him with intimate words. The half-supreme gave up waiting, commanding the empress be taken and slamming his giant palm strike right into Wang Yang. Wu Quanji slammed her spear down to block the attack, promising to stand between her master and any harm. In the middle of the chaos, Yin Minong slipped behind Wang Yang, her voice dripping with a lie. Wang Yang struck back instantly, but his weapon got caught in her silk ribbons. She laughed with pure joy, proud that she had finally caught him. Wang Yang stared in awe at the strange material and glowing runes as Yin Minong invited him into her private realm. With that, she whisked Wang Yang off the battlefield. The scene left Wu Quanji and Yin Lang completely speechless. They screamed in terror, frantically looking for their master and husband. When Wang Yang woke up, he realized he was in a strange place he didn't know. He wasn't sure if the drifting peedless were a formation or a trap until Imai Nianging sensed the danger, praised his calm, and called him intriguing. She showed him that she planned to make him just a puppet she could control. Wang Yang coldly refused, but he was secretly hunting for a weak spot to break free. She kept teasing him, boasting that this spot was built just for him. She stepped up and took charge of the whole kingdom, promising she could wipe out anything inside it. Wang Yang cast doubt on the idea that anyone could be truly all-powerful. He smiled with confidence, remarking that she might be wrong, before Wang Yang launched a fierce counterattack against Yin Yang. His strike was so strong that it made her break into a cold sweat. Yin Minong threw up a shield just as their powers crashed together in a loud boom. She shouted that this was her place and nobody could leave. Wang Yang checked his strength and thought about how to fight back against the space's power. The system warned that destroying the space would trap them in the void, and Wang Yang just grumbled about the trouble. Outside, Wu Quanji fought fiercely against the terrifying half-step supreme powerhouse. The old man grinned, claiming her master was doomed inside a prison so deadly that even top emperors wouldn't survive. Angry, Wu Quan roared back and launched a fiery spear attack that struck down like a blazing meteor. The enemy blocked her attack with a dark weapon, but Su Qin Shan watched in shock as her power suddenly soared, while Wu Quan Jezali, confused by this impossible breakthrough, declared her new identity and rejected her old name as a slave. Enraged, Suchin Shin shouted at Elder Ming to crush her with all his might. A dark pressure shaped a giant hand in the sky, but Elder Ming secretly hated the order. So Yin Lang held her sword to the enemy's throat, demanding her husband's safety and vowing revenge if he was hurt. Suchin Shan sneered, telling Wang Yang he could never escape death, and throwing in extra insults to wound him deeper. Yilin Lang couldn't hold back her anger and charged forward with the burning desire to kill. He slipped away with ease, sneering at her lowly status and daring her to give in. She held onto her hope in silence, praying her husband would live to kill them himself. The sky faded to a hazy pink, while swirling petals created a dangerous kind of beauty. Yin wondered out loud where the seal that used to hold Jukin went. Wang Yang simply said that those weak chains could snap with just a thought. Imai Neong was shocked to see her lifetime of hard work thrown away, so she listened while Wang Yang coolly told her that Wukuja would always stay loyal. Snatching the chance, she offered a deal built around his special talent for breaking seals. Wang Yang just stared at the sudden offer to work together, clearly doubting it. Neong brushed off his doubts, showed off his charm, and promised to give up everything just to buy his freedom. The bright display left Wang Yang totally embarrassed while the system's spirit turned red and shouted that it was too embarrassing. While Yin Lang and Suchin Shin fought fiercely, she stood tall and unmoved as he taunted her. Suddenly, the entire space began to shake as cracks started spreading across its surface. Everyone gasped in shock as Yin Minong suddenly popped up behind Such and Shun to make fun of Wang Yang's weakness. Yin Lang froze in fear and blamed the vixen for hurting her husband. Su Sin Shun sneered, claiming Wang Yang was doomed and dead with no way out. Wu Xuanji stood frozen, shocked to see her respected master defeated. Yin Minong told him in a cold voice that her job was done, and she expected him to stick to his promise. Su Qin Shun turned on her right away, acting like she knew nothing while showing her hate openly. Betrayed, Yin cursed so hard he was just laughed at as a useless tool. Right then, a sword suddenly shot through Su Chunshin's back. He screamed out in agony and rage, shouting that his attacker was a coward. The icy voice came back to say that playing dirty tricks on scum was totally fair game. The assailant calmly explained that it was just a warning about his past meddling. Terrified, Su Inshin realized the attacker was Wang Yang, who had crept up on him unnoticed. Yin Lang hurried over, feeling both relief and worry as she asked if her husband was hurt. Wang Yang spoke calmly, claiming he was fine and had planned it all while remembering his clumsy time in the spatial realm, but the system's spirit blushed and urged him to act more dignified. Yin Nong turned away to speak of her heartbreak, which caught Wang Yang's interest, but he insisted on a price for his attention. She gave up everything she had, without a second thought, just to find true freedom. Wang Yang gave a polite but calculating smile as he accepted the deal. Once Yin Yang broke her seal, she breathed out with relief, finally free from fate's grip. The system cheered Wang Yang for freeing his power and gave him a brand new senior move, leaving him thrilled. Curious, he asked if it was body art, only to find out it was actually a skill used to hide things. The system revealed the power granted near-perfect invisibility, which inspired Wang Yin to pull a prank on the Xuanu royal family. Suddenly, his face darkened as he saw her torn clothes, and his anger exploded into a demand for an explanation while Sun Shin sneered, promising that Wang Yang had missed his chance to kill him and was about to meet his true power. Once he swallowed the pill, his glowing presence suddenly shook with a violent surge. Dark energy burst outward as his realm was shoved up to the highest possible level. He bragged loudly that nobody in the whole world was brave enough to stand against him. He sneered at Wang Yang, calling him a drug-addled fool. With his hand signs completed, he pulled a massive surge of power into himself. While that was happening, Wang Yang lunged straight ahead. He swung his final sword technique, which burned with a terrifying power that destroyed everything in its path. Their attacks smashed together in a huge blast, and Sun Shin's countermoves tore right through Wang Yang's body. Yin Lang let out a terrified scream as she watched her husband get hit. Su Sin Shin laughed with pure joy, sure that his enemy was dead after that single strike. But then Wang Yang's voice echoed coldly from behind, mocking his foolishness. His godlike, demonic sword power exploded, sending wild waves of blade energy crashing out. Su and Shun fought with all their might, sending blood flying across the room. Wang Yang laughed as he stepped closer, then slammed a hard kick into his enemy, sending him flying. Su and Shun's body shot upward like a rag doll. He tumbled through the air, spinning wildly with no way to stop himself. Wang Yang chased after him, laughing cruelly at his every move. A sudden flash of sword light sliced Su Chunshun's arm right off at the shoulder. Screaming in agony and panic, he begged Elder Ming for help. But the elder, torn between knowing Su Qin was useless and unable to truly leave him behind, struck Wu Quanji aside to clear the distraction. After weighing his duty against his pride, Elder Ming decided to keep fighting, but Wang Yang coldly told him that staying was a death sentence and he needed to learn some sense. With that, he swung his sword without a second thought. The razor-thin blades cut through Such Chanshin's neck so easily it was like slicing through thin air. His head hit the ground and rolled there like a heavy, ripe fruit. Shocked by the terrible sight, Elder Ming panicked, terrified of how he would face the patriarch. He shouted that the man who had just fallen was the emperor of the Kowen dynasty. Wang Yang replied with no care that a traitor's fall was just fate's doing. Elder Ming gave a stern warning, saying the Su clan was far more powerful than any young person could ever imagine. Wang Yang gave a smug smirk and challenged the Suo family to see how far they could go. He kept shouting his challenge and completely ignored the danger. Elder Ming, filled with caution and a burning desire to kill, realized that Susan Shun had been crushed far too easily. Wang Yang started pouring his energy into ancient moves, waking up hidden powers one by one. Suddenly, his power exploded upward, hitting the very top of the great emperor realm. Elder Ming remembered the old orders about the serious mission involving Yilan Lang and Sun Shun. In the memories, the old leader had once screamed for total obedience, while Elder Ming had quietly taken on the task of guarding Shuaishan Shun for Yin Lang's Phoenix Saint body. Back in the present, he figured that running away right now was the only move to stay alive and grab power down the road. Thinking quickly, he unleashed his final move, a giant demonic claw of destruction, which Wang Yang bravely met while the system's spirit panicked at the huge gap between their powers. Out of nowhere, a glowing golden bell showed up and locked the air around us in place. The system's spirit grumbled at the opponent's sneaky tricks while Wang Yang stayed calm, promising that escape was no longer an option. Elder Ming grabbed the chance to run for his life, while Wang Yang calmly followed, using his tracking magic to stay right on his trail. As his weapon locked into position, he ripped through the void to chase down Elder Ming, refusing to let the old master get away. Being taken prisoner, Elder Ming growled with pure hate and blamed Wang Yang for using dirty tricks to kill him. Wu Quanji arrived just in time, her cold eyes full of disdain for the elder who had fallen. She laughed at him coldly, telling him he wasn't even good enough to make her master fight for real. Elder Ming let out a furious roar, pushing his body past its limits as his power surged to its highest peak. The heavy pressure shook the air around it so hard that everything trembled violently. Yin Lang stood frozen, shocked by the terrifying power of a supreme realm hitting him for the very first time. Yin Niang sneered at her shock, calling it a sign of being sheltered, yet inside she was terrified and already planning to run the moment she got away. The system's spirit trembled as it nervously offered help, but Wang Yang calmly shook its head, insisting it was just the power of the supreme force. Elder Ming gripped on for dear life, vowing to pull Wang Yang down with him, even if it meant dying. Wu Quanji rushed forward to stand in the way, promising to keep the enemy from reaching her master. Wang Yang softly told her that fighting right now would only make things worse for her. Xuanji suddenly realized she had never actually earned any real honor for her master. Wang Yang gently patted her head to calm her, telling her she had done a great job while he had taken care of the fight all on his own. He turned to mock Elder Ming, goading him to quit his screaming and finally just die. Elder Ming struck back instantly, calling up a dark spirit to smash the arrogant fool with all his greatest strength. He squeezed every bit of his power into a single palm strike aimed right at Wang Yang. That giant hand held power that felt like it could wipe everything out. Yin Lang screamed her husband's name in sheer panic. Elder Ming bragged that a single punch would show just how far apart their power levels really are. Right then, Wang Yang showed up behind him and laughed at how careless he was. A flash of sword light stabbed through Elder Ming's chest, and as he gasped in despair, he begged to know the name of that secret art. Wang Yang just shrugged and said he wasn't good enough to know what was going on. Yin Lang worriedly checked on him while X1G panicked, but Wang Yang simply smiled to calm him down. Yin Minong was secretly amazed and moved by the incredible strength that Wang Yang possessed. Just as the three of them turned to walk away, the system's voice suddenly screamed that they still owed a reward. Wang Yang made a joke, which caused the system to burst out laughing in anger. Then the system started to stutter in a strange way, showing that something huge was about to happen. Wang Yang felt a familiar chill and knew this reward wasn't as simple as it seemed. Suddenly, a strange thought formed in his mind. Fragments of the supreme laws were connecting all together. The system paused for a moment, feeling like it was getting ready for something very important. It created a glowing treasure and declared that it had claimed the second piece of the Tao. A golden glow hung in the air, wrapping around a stone that floated above the ground. The system pushed hard for him to join the piece, but Wang Yang stayed doubtful about the secrets it hid. After hearing that Heaven Tao ruled over everything, Wang Yang finally saw that even the system had its limits. He carefully set the broken piece right in the middle of the big rock. As soon as they touched, a massive burst of power exploded outward. A glowing light spun around him, changing his power and reach forever. The system cheered as Wang Yang calmly accepted his new Great Emperor title, though it quickly explained that this grand name was just a disguise hiding his real, terrifying power. Realizing this, Wang Yang broke into a gleeful laugh, thrilled at the chance to play the part of a fool and trick the world. He quickly commanded Xuan Jie to gather all the loot and pledged big reward for the job. Yuan Lang asked with worry, but her husband answered so casually it felt like nothing mattered at all. Just as Yin Mayang reached out to him, Yin Lang pulled her back instantly, and the air grew thick with tension. Yin Lang tore her plans apart right there, calling out the tricks as too clumsy to fool anyone. Yin Minong grinned and plainly said she wanted to pay him back with her own body. Two women locked eyes with deadly hatred, but Wang Yang slipped away just to dodge the tea. As he walked away, he sighed to the system about how scary women's fights were, which made the system laugh teasingly. Xuanji ran straight over to tell everyone that she had collected every single treasure from the battlefield. Wang Yang glanced over the treasures, sneered at Xuan Yu's meager poverty, and noted that only one old book held any real value, which Xuanji respectfully agreed with. As the city mourned, whispers filled the streets that Emperor Xuan Yu had fallen to Desong, while rumors of tax relief spread alongside the grief. The folks talked loudly about how their leader was such a brilliant genius that the Xuan Yu people were scared stiff, while the streets outside were loud and busy, for figures sat deep in conversation inside the council chamber. Yinmai Neong glared with anger, demanding to know why Wang Yang always kept his distance and treated her like a stranger. Yin Lang stared at her with icy eyes, demanded she admit to sneaking into Diang, and waited for the truth. Yinmai Neong raised an eyebrow, showing that Yin Lang was mixing personal jealousy with official business. Yin Lang looked at her husband while Wang Yang quietly told Yinmai to go along with it. She smiled with a playful twist, promising she'd keep going even if she was locked up or questioned. Wang Yang argued and let Yin Lang take charge, warned Yin Miang to watch her step, but saw Yimai Niang mock his dullness before she agreed to spill the secrets. Yin Lang jumped straight to asking about the royal bloodline of the Kowen-Yu family and how the Su clan managed to take control. Yimai Niang told the sad story of how, 600 years ago, she went away to train while her father let the Su family take their chances. In just 100 years, the Su family took over the court and even made her marry their man, Su Qin-shun. At the Bloody Beetle, they killed her father, took her captive, and seized control of all of Chuanyu. Wang Yang realized that complacency had its price, and then asked how strong the Su clan had become. After Su Inshun and Su Shiming met their ends, Yin Minong noted that the clan had fallen apart, leaving just two great masters to stand. Yin Lang wanted to wipe them out right now, but Wang Yang held her back with a heavy heart. He quietly weighed the long-term risks, knowing that half measures would only breed trouble later. Yin Lang suddenly stood up and commanded his soldiers to march on Xuanyu, leaving Wang Yin shocked because her bold plan had even surpassed his own. Yin Minyang joked that her team would win because of her, which made Wang Yang snap at her to behave, while Yin Lang stood her ground saying revenge was her job and promised to make it happen. Yin Yang just chuckled softly as the Empress gave the fox a cold stare, and though Yin Miang had decided to wipe out Xuan Yu's power, she was so lost in a daydream about getting her riches back that she imagined herself giving everything to stand right next to Wang Yang at the very top. While the system eagerly waited for the big war like it was a thrilling play, Wang Yang sighed in private, complaining that he wasn't in the mood for more fighting while he was still resting. Yin Lang flatly refused the idea that waiting for the perfect moment was self-sabotage. Once the Empress had donned her imperial armor, she gave the order to leave at the lucky hour, and her officers bowed to show they would obey. Wang Yang hated the crowds and tried to skip the ceremony, but he was forced to show up and take charge of the armies. In Xuanyu's capital, the ministers pleaded to bring back the first prince to save their fallen kingdom. While the factions argued over the teachers and the heirs, the left minister watched in silence. Suddenly, a loud shout from someone claiming to be Xuanyu's real ruler stopped the arguing and shocked everyone in the room. Su Qindi and his allies marched into the hall, shouting orders to get everything ready for a coronation so they could seize power right away. The officials fought him fiercely, tearing apart his family name and demanding he fall. Faced with a rebellion, the old patriarch gave a cold command to kill everyone. He looked down the hall, and his cold, deadly stare made everyone around him feel frozen in fear. Before anyone could react, the lower-ranking guards attacked, filling the room with screams and the sound of bones snapping. Outside, the sun burned bright, but inside, the room had turned into a hell soaked in blood. Sutin climbed onto the throne and claimed his new power while his guards knelt in fear. In Dian, the court and the people came together for a quiet and serious celebration. As Wang Yang stepped out with Yin Lang, the crowd roared with cheers that sounded like thunder. Voices echoed everywhere, singing praises to the king's strength and the ruler's might. In the middle of the crowd, the Lusk leader was happy to make money, while King Shao worried about future wars, and Wukwang Guanji admired her master's grace. Meanwhile, Ru and Minyang were secretly jealous, but the national preceptor stepped forward to announce the lucky time to start the holy mission. Yin Lang bowed his head in deep respect for the sacred ritual, while Wang Yang struggled to keep his eyes open during the long, boring ceremony. Afterward, the instructor finished his task on the right side and turned his attention to the imperial edict, while Yin Lang loudly cursed the foreign invaders for crossing borders and crushing the people before handing military power to Wang Yang. She apologized for the heavy burden, but he simply grinned and brushed it off while holding the command token. only for Wang Yang to freeze in shock at her speech as the system urged him to take a vow. He flatly refused, scolding the system for being annoying, and then dismissed it. Wang Yang shouted for war against Xianyu, heating up the crowd with simple but burning words. He didn't wait, lifted the token high, and shouted that they would march to crush Xuanyu. In Xuanyu, panic spread when news arrived that Wang Yang himself was leading a massive army of 200,000 troops. Sutton laughed at their foolish pride and how little they thought of Ko Yu's real power. Some said the number of soldiers didn't matter, but the real danger was Wang Yang, a man so feared that even the late emperor trembled at his name. Sutton roared in anger, telling everyone not to compare him to others. Zhe Wenyuan sneered to himself, thinking the throne's fool was far beneath the late emperor and doomed Xuanyu. Su Qian simply ignored that and coldly ordered Zhewan to lead the army against Dai Thin. Stunned and scared, he rushed to face Wang Yang once again. The marching soldiers of Dai Thin talked with excitement, with some ready to fight back in pride, while others just longed for peace. Sitting in his carriage, Wang Yang sighed that feeding his soldiers felt much harder than killing his enemies. Just then, the system woke up and switched on Supreme National War Mode, leaving him completely stunned. The system quietly said it could handle anything that came its way. The screen showed Dai Thin in deep trouble, which made Wang Yang furious at how unfair the gap was. The system said wars depend on many things, but he asked with a frown where the real power truly lies. The system bragged about its cool abilities, like managing troops, watching the battlefield, and gathering spy secrets. Wang Yang stared in shock at the cannons in the arsenal and asked if they could really be built. The system flatly said no, calling modern weapons in a cultivation world nothing but cheating. After complaining for a bit, they finally admitted they were wrong and offered war points to help out in the refresh shop. Wang Yang nodded with a satisfied smile, while the system let out a silent sigh of relief because its backup plan was finally ready. After a wild shopping spree, he happily stuffed himself with cheap weapons and demanded team outfits, leaving the system looking calm on the outside while panicking inside like it was trapped in a shopping nightmare. Just as the sun began to rise, a massive eagle swooped into the sky, its very presence making the air feel heavy and intense. It dove straight toward X1U's camp like it was carrying a message from fate itself. Inside the X1U tent, the scouts told the commander that a tiny group of enemy soldiers was nearby, and their words made everyone burst into mocking laughter. Some whispered to be careful because of the shadowy Wang Yang, yet the battle-hungry generals charged forward, certain that their vast army would win. A soldier begged the general to slow down, but the commander threw all advice and orders out the window. Gao Yulan growled an impatient command to attack, then casually dropped a question that instantly froze the air around them. On Dai Thin's side, the war drums beat like a giant, fiery drum line, pumping the soldiers up just as if they were part of a crazy, cheering squad. Wang Yang snapped his fingers, and instantly the whole army charged forward. The soldiers ran forward, nervously talking as they counted on their king to keep them safe. In Xuanyu's ranks, King Jiao shook with fear and spoke of the enemy's terrifying power. Wang Yang just smirked, saying he had already planned for every possible result. He took a quick look at the control panel, his eyes shining with a clever plan. His brain raced with secrets that nobody could ever solve. The system kept praising him, waiting impatiently for the big fight to begin. Xuanyu's scouts warned that the enemy was ready, causing Galan to laugh and order a full assault with volleys. Just as the order was given, arrows poured down like rain, while death soldiers scrambled to raise their shields in the chaos. The front line dodged and blocked without stopping, keeping their tight formation as the enemy shook them but could not break them. Wang Yin glanced around quickly before shouting for his army to turn back and march 100 steps. The order raced through the ranks as soldiers shouted and scrambled backward to escape the rain of arrows. Seeing them run away, Gao Yulan was so happy she thought they had won, so she pushed her soldiers to keep charging. Xuanyu's troops surged forward like a breaking flood with hearts full of courage. Wang Yang squinted with an icy smile, calling them bait biters, and then ordered the cannons out. The rosette cannon silenced Xuanyu's soldiers, filling their hearts with fear. Once the guns were ready, the signaler raised his flag, his heart hammering against his ribs as he stood on the edge of life and death. A loud and steady cry for fire cut through the air. Talisman clung to the cannons, and the power to activate them felt like calling down the gods themselves. The cannons boomed like thunder, sending shells flying through the lines and making the ground shake. The enemy ran away in fear, but no normal person could run faster than the terrifying monster chasing them. The explosions kept booming, bodies dropped one after another, and the battlefield became a terrible wasteland. Galen froze in terror, stammering as he realized just how powerful those monstrous weapons really were. Wang Yang crossed his arms like a stage director and shouted for a full attack, ordering cannons to blast the enemy from behind. Dathine's soldiers surged ahead, their unstoppable rush clearing the battlefield. Shu Yu's army shattered into a panicked mess, leaving Gao Yulan screaming desperately as no one listened to her. The bombs kept falling, turning the field into a never-ending mess of ruin. A shell fell right at Galen's feet, leaving everyone shocked. With a sound so loud it shook the world, Jie Yulin was struck down instantly, too stunned to move a muscle. The dying soldier gasped, claiming Wang Yang must have pulled off a magic trick so wild it broke the rules of normal life. The shelling hammered down on Xuan Yu's troops, turning their battlefield into a chaotic mess straight out of a wild action movie. Wang Yang stared calmly at the glowing screen, lost in deep thinking about what was far away. The system suddenly announced the enemy leader was dead and shouted that we had won. The drums and horns suddenly roared to a halt, leaving Wang Yang shocked by how quickly the party ended. The system bragged about its mighty war power, but Wang Yang just wanted his pay. It nervously agreed to give a special prize, but warned that it held deadly power. While the soldiers on the field shouted praises to the cannon's power, they quickly rushed to tidy up the mess left behind. A captured Xianyu soldier blamed Wang Yang for using dark magic, so Wukwangi couldn't stand it anymore and kicked him hard to shut him up instantly. She stared coldly at all the prisoners and warned them never to speak a single word again. She looked tough on the outside, but she was secretly planning her own tricks. Wang Yang called out, and Wuxuanji sprinted over right away without a second thought. As she traveled, her heart leaped with joy because her master had finally noticed and trusted her. Upon